Malta's exceptional investor naturalization program is considered by many to be the creme de la creme of second passports. You make a large donation and get European Union citizenship in just about 18 months. But Bulgaria's lesser known program may offer similar benefits for a lower price tag, and today I'm going to compare both programs. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, with a channel and the company that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. Now, some people simply don't want European Union citizenship. They believe that it will impinge on their freedoms in the future, cause them to pay higher taxes. But for those who want access to Europe, for those who want some of the best travel documents in the world, Malta and Bulgaria offer two relatively quick paths to EU citizenship that may not be around forever if mainly the regulators in Brussels have their way. So I always encourage people to jump on these programs sooner than later if you can afford them. But today I want to walk you through Malta versus Bulgaria in a couple of different categories. And let's start with the investment, the cash outlay. Now, Malta's MEIN program, they don't want you to call it citizenship by investment. The MEIN program is basically a donation program similar to what you'd find in the Caribbean. Rather than being denominated in dollars, it is, of course, in euros. And so you're going to spend, if you want the fast track option, the 1-year option, 750,000 euros. That's a price raise from the previous program. Plus, you're going to pay 50,000 euros for each additional person in most cases. So you put together a family of 4, you're looking at 900,000 euros. So over $1 million in most cases. On top of that, there's going to be a charitable donation. You need to rent or purchase real estate. The new program all but makes it worthwhile simply to rent, in my opinion. And there are some other things that need to be done, as well as some of the highest fees in the industry. After all, it is the creme de la creme, and it doesn't come cheap. And that's going to get you citizenship pretty quickly. We'll talk about the timelines in a moment. What Bulgaria does is say, we're not going to charge that much in the way of fees. What we are going to do is ask you to, if you want the fast track program, similar to what Malta does, ask you to invest 512,000 euros is probably the most common route most people would take into any kind of different fund focusing on Bulgaria. And then after 1 year, we're going to ask you to double it up before you apply for citizenship. And so in terms of the speed, we're talking about investment level and speed. Both of these countries offer a fast track and a slow track. Malta says, hey, 1 year, 750,000 euros plus. 3 years, 600,000 euros plus. Now, if you're looking for citizenship in this manner and you're spending the kind of money you're spending, I don't really see the purpose in saving 150,000 euros. You might as well go look at a golden visa program. You might as well get a Caribbean citizenship plus a golden visa. There's plenty of combinations that you could use that would be better than Malta's 3-year program. Bulgaria has the same option. Double up your investment after a year and get right to the citizenship part, or go the slow track, don't invest anything else, and we'll get back to you in about 5 years. And so in both cases, I think these programs probably make sense if you are investing the extra money. So what you're looking at in the case of Malta is, let's just take a single person just to keep the numbers open. You're looking at about 760,000 euros out. If you assume that you're not really going to live there very much, you can put that into the mid 800,000 range because you're paying rent for something that you won't use very much. And then you have all the costs on top of that. We'll leave that aside. In the case of Bulgaria, you're putting out 512,000 euros now and the other 512,000 euros a year from now. So theoretically, there's an opportunity cost benefit of holding on to part of that money for some of the extra time. The logistics of these do come into play, and so that's a discussion worth having for your particular situation. But basically, Malta is going to give you citizenship in about 18 months, all said and done. Now, this always depends on how quickly you collect your documents, how quickly you send them the funds, that entire process. And so people who are from certain countries may have a more enhanced due diligence. Some applications will go faster than others. Bulgaria, you're probably looking at about 24 months, give or take, before you have a passport in hand. So Bulgaria, slightly slower. You have a little bit more time in between your investments. Plus, you have the option to make later, do I want to top up my investment, double it up later or not? Whereas in Malta, it's simply a fixed price. You're going to choose going in, I want the 1-year option. That donation is going to be fixed. Now, obviously, the benefit that Bulgaria offers is you are able to get that money back in the future. You're making an investment into any number of things. You can hire employees, plus invest in a company. You can invest in venture funds. You can invest in something as simple as index funds. You can't go out and just simply buy personal property. There are some myths out there about what you can't do. You can't do government bonds anymore. That was once the program. That's out. But you can potentially get your money back depending on how you invest. And I've seen some of the investments. The fees on the investments are perhaps a little bit higher than what you would find with similar funds, although not totally out of the line for what some mutual funds would charge. But the idea is if you have some belief in the Bulgarian economy and some of the related economies that are in these funds, that money could grow. Maybe it wouldn't lose that much. Maybe it's flat. Who knows? It all depends on your investment option. But you're not simply guaranteeing that it's going away. And so the timelines could be relatively similar. The cash outlay could be somewhat similar. One of them allows you to get that cash back. One doesn't. Now, let's talk about living in Europe. Now, when you're going through the Malta program and you're starting with the residence, you are, for that very brief period of time, going to have this access to the Schengen area. Bulgaria is not going to offer that to you because while you're getting instant permanent residence once you're approved in Bulgaria, you are not able to necessarily travel in the Schengen area unless you already have access to do that. Bulgaria is not part of the borderless mainland Europe that's called the Schengen area, and so therefore, until you get Bulgarian citizenship, you're actually going to simply be stuck basically in Bulgaria. Okay, so that's important to understand. Obviously, once you become a citizen of either of these countries, most people who become Maltese citizens, as lovely as Malta is in many ways, are not going to live in Malta. I've had numerous individuals who have obtained Malta citizenship with us or before coming to see me, who have used that to then go and live in Switzerland, who've used that to go and live in Ireland, who have used that to go and live in other places in the European Union. And they can do that at a discount, by the way. Switzerland, for example, is going to be more favorable to folks who hold EU passports than those who don't. And so once you hold that EU citizenship, you have pretty much the same options. But until you do, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage with Bulgaria. Now, in terms of presence required in the country to get the passport, Malta's minimum is about 2 weeks. People think, I need to move to Malta full-time for that 1 year of residence. No, there is a minimum amount of time that you need to be there. Some people will say that maybe you want to put in a bit more time. The Guardian has come out and complained that people are only doing the minimum, and that's what citizenship in this way is all about. Economic citizenship is you're going in and you're not planning on moving to Malta, but you're getting a passport that will help you, whether it's reduce your taxes, gain travel mobility, in this case live in Europe. That's what this allows you to do. And Malta has repeatedly said it's our sovereign right to naturalize whomever we want. And this program has actually helped Malta through the economy during COVID. And so I think that's a great thing. But most people aren't going to go and live in Malta. They're going to use that as access somewhere else. And certainly someone who became a Bulgarian citizen, some people have said, oh, Bulgaria doesn't seem quite as sexy. And sure, an island in the Mediterranean does perhaps seem more sexy than Bulgaria. But when it all comes out in the wash, an EU citizen is, for all intents and purposes, an EU citizen. Bulgaria is going to require you to spend a little bit less time than Malta when we're talking about 2 or 3 weeks. Obviously, these are not huge amounts of time to begin with, but you're going to spend a little bit less time on the ground if you'd like in Bulgaria. Now, in terms of once you get that passport, where can you travel? Malta does have an edge because Malta is part of the U.S. visa waiver program. I've made clear some of my reservations about that in the past, but generally speaking, I think most Maltese citizens are going to be able to, assuming they meet all the criteria for the visa waiver program, go and visit the United States. They also have pretty clear access to Australia, whereas Bulgaria is not part of the visa waiver program, and Bulgaria has had some challenges with about 20% of its citizens being rejected by Australia's electronic travel authorization, the ETA, before they're going there. So much so that Bulgaria and some of the other countries in Eastern Europe have complained. The EU said, sorry, that's not really our issue. So the Bulgarian passport is one of the weaker ones. The Malta one is certainly not the strongest, but when you compare Malta to Germany or something like that, you're really not going to have any substantial loss of travel privileges. Now, obviously, in the event of some dramatic change in how the EU operates, certainly Malta and Bulgaria are smaller players and do have the risk of being lesser passports in the future. But right now, Malta is a very strong passport. I think that will probably continue. Bulgaria is a very strong passport for going pretty much anywhere in the world because many visa-free regimes that the EU has are simply reciprocal. If those countries want their citizens to go to the EU, they have to allow all EU citizens to come in, and as long as Bulgaria is in the EU, it will benefit that. So the big issue for most people, for me, is access to the United States. Malta has it, Bulgaria doesn't. The other thing that people ask about in terms of naturalization is language. And the good news is that not only is English an official language in Malta, but you don't need to learn it. In Bulgaria, you don't need to learn Bulgarian. So in either case, if you're not looking to go and learn a new language, then either of these programs could work for you. Now, if you're looking to have a citizenship of a country where you do speak the language, then perhaps Malta makes more sense for you. So the question is, Malta certainly has a superior passport. Perhaps it has more sex appeal. But for folks who just want access to, after at least a certain period of time, living in the European Union, being able to freely move across Europe, being able to take advantage of living in any of the EU states. There's many tax incentives in various EU states. You can take advantage, from Portugal to Ireland to Italy to even Greece. They're both going to get you there. Do you want to pay a little bit more in terms of a donation to cement your access, to speed things up a little bit more, to have that access to the U.S., to have the slightly stronger passport? Or do you just want the workhorse in terms of Bulgaria? I'd love to hear your comments. If you had to make a choice, which would you choose? Leave a comment below. And if you're looking for help making this decision, you can certainly go to nomadcapitalist.com and we'd be happy to talk to you as well. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. Learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.